back behind McDonald's on Church Street, right there. There was real sweet. He drinks a small cup of coffee with 5 cream, 5 sugar. Doesn't that lead to diabetes or something?
I don't know. Did you buy him a cup?
I got him a cup, but I only put three
Did
sugar,
you?
3 coffee, 3 cream in it. Yeah, but anyways, man, it just really makes you, realize how blessed we are. But one stat, and I read this off in Commerce Committee last week because they were talking about raising minimum wage, and we had great discussion about the free market and all. And I asked, I said, does anybody know anybody that's making $7.25 an hour? And a couple hands went up. They couldn't tell me who it was, but I'm sure there are some people out there. But you believe in the free market. I believe the free market. But one in I think it's 7 Americans have worked at McDonald's in their life.
I was Waffle House instead of McDonald's.
You like Waffle House?
That was the one first job I had.
You over in Laverne?
No, I was in Smyrna. I was right there on right there by Nissan. Yeah, that was my first one. No, Murfreesboro Waffle House.
I was going to say, because that McDonald's,
yeah, right.
that Waffle House wasn't there.
You're right, Murfreesboro. Yeah. It was Murfreesboro. Yep.
Yeah, because I popped in that insurance company, Marty Luffman Insurance, State Farm, and he wouldn't insure me. He ran me off out of there. He was rude, too.
And he turned into your best friend.
Well, yeah, we're pretty tight. We're pretty tight. Yeah. I hope he's listening tonight. He's doing a little better, thank God. He had that bad accident.
I know.
Had to be able to walk for about three years. He's getting a little bit of, movement in his legs. And then again, it goes show, man. My mom always said, when you got your health, you got it all. Our club back behind Nashville Palace. And, I'm not much into country music or anything, but, it was a great celebration of life. I mean, it really was. They sang Amazing Grace and sang How Great Thou Art, and had some cloggers up there dancing to Rocky Top. And, remember Craig Smith, Smyrna, a few years older than us?
Yes.
Craig and Trish Nash got me the information to do a nice house proclamation, and we got to recognize her, Charlie Baum and I, on the house floor, because she technically lived in Representative Baum's district, not mine. But it kind of took me back, seeing those old pictures of he all with my dad, and my dad's been gone for 14. No, man, he's been gone 18 years, and just kind of, I guess when you start getting our age, you start reminiscing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Appreciating the day more.
Yeah, and you start seeing some of your relatives pass. Like your mom passed, 4 years ago?
Yes, mom and dad. Yeah, about 6 months from each other.
Yeah. Then I lost my mom 3 months ago. And, one of the issues I've taken on as a lawmaker is music therapy.
Right.
I know it sounds kind of crazy. I'm not a music person, but I've seen the power of music. I was playing Amazing Grace, which was my legislation. It was written by a slave ship captain, and I played Amazing Grace in my mom's final hours, and I literally watched my mom's pains. She was in a lot of moans and breathing hard, and I watched her pains calm down, breathing calm down, and she was from Scotland, so I was playing it with the bagpipes, and I literally watched music therapy at work, and the next morning she passed. I never shed a tear. She was ready to go.
Yep.
But you took care of your mom for how long?
Yeah, about 3 years with Alzheimer's.
3?
Yep. And
Yeah.
It was just it's a rough road to go down, but it's all part of it.
How was she?
Gosh, when she passed, it was 70. No, she just turned 70. So
really?
Yeah, so she just
She was just 70. I was
Yeah,
thinking she was
yeah.
older than that.
Yeah, no, it was and it's just a terrible disease, that. And then,
man.
And when you lose your parents, it makes you start appreciating life a little bit more. So for those of you that have your parents, call them and tell them you love them and appreciate them, because they may not be here.
Yep.
So yes, take that time.
Dr. Krause, Jennifer Krause, Channel 5, her dad does a show up here, and took on the issue of low pay of adjunct professors. And he's in my story. It's on YouTube, and I'm gonna run some legislation for it. He ended up helping me on my campaign. I was tripping. I wasn't expecting it. It was like, that's the Lord taking care of me. And he made a comment a few months ago. He says, "Don't put off tomorrow what you can do today." We've always heard that, but growing up, you're like, what is that? But then you stop to think, like I was just thinking, they invited me to go sit with Ronnie Stoneman in her final days, but she just come in and played music for me at Sam Davis' home for our chili cook-off, and I didn't really want to bother the family. But then I was sitting at the funeral thinking, I should have went over there.
Yep.
And I would have interviewed the late Douglas Henry, and I kept wanting to get a professional videographer with me, and I was putting off a few weeks, and then when I called them, he went into hospice and he passed.
Well, sometimes that first instinct is the best.
I know, man. Well, you get a little older, you're not promised tomorrow. I think we've got a caller. Caller, go ahead.
It's Trish Nash.
Hey, Trish Nash. Thanks for taking care of me and that event with Ronnie.
I was out there that day that they did the hee-haw thing with George Strait, and I used to go with her. I sent this message to you at one time for her fan club, and I mean, just sweet person. And when Lamar Alexander was running, they had the whole hee-haw group come out to her house in Smyrna.
Oh, really?
Uber and everybody was there.
Well, hey, I think were you in a picture with her holding up a 50th anniversary poster?
Probably so.
Man, there was a woman. I told Craig Smith, said, man, I think that's Trish Nash, and by the time the photo would come up, because it ran a few times.
I had a hard time catching you. I mean, getting this. Yeah, I've been to 2 funerals today.
Yes, I'm sorry. You were telling me that.
Friends, yes, friends.
Sue Meadows, Dick Meadows' wife.
Yes, wonderful. Well, visitation, not really funeral. But anyway, I'm so glad that what you did for Ron and her family. And, she had quite a story. And she had, she's a great person.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to be out if you wouldn't have stayed on me, because, we've had
Were they serving bologna sandwiches? She loved bologna sandwiches.
No, but I'll tell you what, they had a bunch of desserts, because on the way out, I didn't see a plate, and I grabbed a little brownie, and the lady was standing beside me. I said, I didn't see a plate, because I felt bad just grabbing a brownie. She said, oh, honey, don't worry. She went and grabbed a plate for me, and I loaded up on the way over here with some cashews and everything else.
You were saying, so I want to get off the phone so I can hear you talk.
No, well, hey, who was the other person that passed away? You said it was Kendall Lee Victory?
It was, they're distant. LaWanda Victory Davis. I went to high school, and she was at Cone, and she was in the band with John Duke, who taught at MTSU, and I was a majorette, and we were grammar school. So, yes, and Dick and Sue Meadows, they lived, down next door to Hurricane Mills, is where he grew up.
Oh, that's right.
Way before Loretta Lynn even put her farm there.
Him and I sat together at Rotary on many, many occasions. He'd tell, I think that place is haunted. I think he told me it was haunted. Seriously. And you've been in a haunted house, too.
Yeah, he and his brother had the funeral home there. And of course, they still are connected, and he was there. But anyway, everyone should read her obituary. It's a true love story. They were married, I think, like 58 years. No, what am I saying? They were we've been married 58.
You're talking about Sue Meadows, right?
And Dick Meadows, yes.
Yeah, because Ronnie Stoneman was married 6 times.
Well, we went to one of her wonderful weddings that she had. Chet Atkins played. It was at the chapel there in Brentwood, and a big wedding. And Chet Atkins played, and I forgot who else sang.
Yeah.
I mean, she had all sorts of celebrities, and it was great. And then I've got another connection with one of those good-looking. Y'all talking about good-looking women? I did hear you say that.
Well, that picture, if it wasn't you, it was one of those girls on Hee Haw. Seriously, I told Craig, I said, man, I think that's Trish Nash. He goes, I think that's one of the girls on Hee Haw. Anyways, for real.
Well, I
think it's you.
Wear the overalls and the bangs. Sometimes some people thought I was her, but no, I wasn't.
Well, it was. I think it's you holding a 50th anniversary poster. But they were kidding that she would oftentimes be on stage and look in the audience at some young guy and be like, "You're fixing to be my next ex-husband." It was funny.
I was down there for some tapings because Charlie McCoy, he and Willie Paul Ackerman played drums, and I went to high school with him. In fact, I used to play on his drums in the Cone High band. And they said, no girls can play the drums and be in a band and march down the field and twirl their batons. So go back over there.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I was on the way out of there, near Opryland, Nashville Palace. I don't really go to places like that. I don't drink, for the record. What's that? And it wouldn't be healthy me hanging out at a place like that. But I had a great time.
My husband goes there, too. So, no, they had lots of, they always had a lot of political parties there, and John passed away, but they still do a great communication thing with all the people.
I didn't know all that was back there. Do you know that, Danny?
Yeah, I didn't know it until about a year ago. Yeah, there's a lot back there.
Man,
there's a lot. It's really grown.
Right.
Yes.
And the last time I saw Ronnie, she was down there with Johnny Russell playing actually in the Palace. But, I mean, even Elvis has played the Palace. I mean, lots of people played that.
Well, there was a girl there, and Craig said she dated Elvis or something like that. I was like,
oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know, but.
Oh, he used to come there a lot, and like I said, there were lots of, still Ronnie McDowell and his son plays there, and Bobby Bear. I mean, there's lots of music, and we had a Red Hats down there, and we had Connie Smith and Jeannie Seeley and a whole bunch of the Jan Howard, a lot of the female singers that became, very popular later on. It's got a great history.
Oh,
and,
it was
going strong.
It was a great celebration of life. It really was, and I wish I would have went and sat with her in her hospice care. I just, I didn't really want to bother the family.
I called his family.
Because you and I talked about that.
Yeah, I said no because I talked to one of the sons and also the cousin, and I think the cousin, one of the Cox used to play on Barbara Mandrell. That was two of the children that were connected with the Cox family. So they're all talented. And she does, I don't know if this has been mentioned, but she actually has a banjo in the Smithsonian.
They were saying that.
Oh,
there was a girl that kind of was the MC of the event. Is it Julie Harris? Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, and I was going to say, too, her sister died I don't know exactly when, but she was also she was a preacher, Ronnie's sister.
Well, they had that Nashville church folks there.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't know they did that, but I want to thank you for hooking us up with Ronnie Stoneman a few years ago. She came out and played at Sam Davis' home at our chili cook-off, and that may have been when I think that was the night that the late Dr. George Smith was there.
I think so. Yeah.
You know what?
That was right. That was your campaign.
Yep.
Anyway, she came out gracefully, and I think Marty Luffman had a lot to do with that persuasion also. So
it was good. Her and Ronnie Gandy that works at the funeral home were real tight. I got to meet all of Ronnie Stoneman's family, real sweet folks. Well, thank you, Trish, for hooking me up. I owe you.
Good night.
All right.
No, you don't ever owe me.
All right. Well, you be good. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah, Danny, she had we just had such a busy week this week, and I wanted to put all this together, and it's just so much going on, man, and I got my assistant to get it over there, and we got to recognize her on the floor, but I didn't have a formal proclamation type thing, so we got that done. But I want to talk about something real quick before we get into some of your stuff, Danny. Is I got to hang out with a farmer the other day. You ever went and hung out with a farmer?
Well, it's been a little while, but I mean, I've been around farmers in my life.
See,
my grandmother, had a farm growing up in Alabama. So
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I hung out with, we always do the Farm Bureau event, and they're all just sweet folks, man. Remember Marvin Whitworth?
Okay.
Did you have ag in high school?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had
Mr. Whitworth. I think he had a big paddle with holes in it, if I remember right.
Did he?
Yeah, I think there was holes that were drilled
I don't
in
remember
that
him
thing.
paddling.
Yeah, I think I may get him confused. I think he was, though.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe not.
He always a nice guy. He's had some health issues. I didn't see him at the Farm Bureau event and asking, but a farmer there. We're always talking. It's Jeff Dismukes, and I hope I'm saying it right. Dismukes, and they own the property where the salt stop is for TDOT on I-24.
Yep.
I think his brother. They had that whole area before the interstate was there, and they were dairy farmers, and went over and got to hang out with him. He sold out a few years ago, and I just had the best time, just chilling, and he sold a lot of the equipment and all. We're just over at his barn, and I was like, what do you do now? He said, I come up here, feed the cats and feed the skunks. And I said, the skunks? He goes, yeah. He said, them some, what do you call them? He says, them some sweet little critters. And I was like, skunks? He was like, yeah. I said, don't they spray? He said, no, they don't spray. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to take that chance.
I don't either.
I'm out.
But he farmed for, dairy farm for all these years. And I thought, man, get up at 3 a.m. and dairy farm.
Somebody's got to do it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you have to have it, right?
I used to think I worked hard back in the day, And
which job was that?
Whirlpool, Nissan, Coca-Cola, run them own businesses. I mean, Whirlpool, I remember one time I calculated up, I was picking up 35,000 pounds a day on an assembly line. Now, they'd give me a little break, but I was having to lift all them dehumidifiers, and they were like 40 pounds a piece.
You liked working out back then, so
back then,
helpful.
But today, man, I wouldn't be able to take it. But one day I told my wife, I said, if Nissan let me go back and work like one day every month, I would do it. My wife said, you couldn't work. I said, what are you talking about? I'd go back and do that.
You can watch a robot go,
I know. I probably couldn't, man. You can
press a button and tell the robot to go this way or that way. Yeah.
But he's got a silo over there, and he's like, you want to climb that silo? And I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna climb that silo.
You're gonna go back and climb that silo. Did you get your picture up there on it, or I mean, what's the
well,
purpose?
I want to get just a video. I mean, I think it'd be pretty neat. I know if Pettis Reed's listening, he's probably saying, Mike, you need to climb that silo. You're gonna get hurt or something, But I just had the best time. We drove up in his truck out Veterans Parkway. You been out that way lately?
I have, yes.
My gosh.
It's and lots of restaurants, lots of new things going out there. Just
all them apartments.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see when you see all that? What do you see?
I see growth. I see that we're in an amazing county. It's growing a lot. I mean, when I see it, the biggest concern is: are we handling the traffic? Are we handling the growth as fast as it's coming in? I mean, that's, But it typically with owning a business, that's a real good sign for me. It's a positive thing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how you see it that way.
Yeah.
I see all these apartments, and I see impact on transportation, impact on our roads, impact on our school system. Somebody's got to pay for it.
Now, when you get specific about
not
apartments,
being negative,
but I mean, as far as apartments, yes, I think we need to have more single-family homes and more for-sale condos instead of the more renters we have, then we're bringing our overall lower, our income in, and people are having a harder time buying houses now. So they're building these, and now people are getting stuck in apartments because you got these high interest rates. So it's just all
well,
big cycle.
If you remember, you were you lived over on Ross, not even a block or two from me.
Yep, College Street. Well, I was on College Street right there. You come down on Ross there, and I was on as you come down from Taliaferro's Market. I was right there on the corner there on the right hand side
of College.
Yep. And
I was thinking you were on Ross.
That wasn't Ross. What's the one that came up and hit Enon Springs Road right there where it used to be Florence, or coming down from Taliaferro's Market. College
Tucker.
Road. Yeah, Mason Tucker.
Tucker. Yeah, Mason Tucker. You're on Mason Tucker. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was on College Street, but but it was right there around that corner. Yes.
Yeah. The what year did y'all move to Smyrna?
Gosh, I would have been 7 years old, so that would have been 49 years ago.
From Alabama?
Well, no, we kind of our family were in up north, and my mom and dad got divorced, and then she was coming back to take us to Alabama. She all of a sudden, my mother stopped and said, "We're going to spend the night in Nashville." And when she did, she said, "Well, you know what? We're going to stay the night in Nashville." And so with that, she all of a sudden thought, "Oh, there's not a whole lot of good with my family in Alabama, so maybe we're just going to stay here."
Really?
So and so it was best move that my mom could have ever have done for us three boys.
She found a job.
Well, no, she worked hard for it. I mean, she worked hard. I mean, she sold jewelry, she did all kinds of, but yes, she absolutely did what she had to work. Yes. I mean, it was. She had to raise three boys by herself.
Well, what was your first teacher at? Where were you at? David Urey?
Oh yeah, David Urey.
Or you weren't at Smyrna Primary, were you?
No, I didn't go to Smyrna Primary, but David Urey was, and I don't remember my first teacher, but Shannon Doggo. We were on the class. I remember we played. Were you in that play with Snoopy?
No, I've heard you talk about
Troy Flippin and
no, I don't. I
wasn't. No,
I wasn't doing nothing like that.
You wouldn't do that. That wasn't cool.
Heck no, back in the day, not doing that.
You wouldn't do that.
I had Miss Barnacle, fourth grade.
That sounds right. I think.
Did you have her?
That sounds right. Did we get placed by our last name because you would have been Sparks? And I
well,
we
were around school a whole lot.
Yeah. We were always in the same homerooms and stuff after that. Yeah, our last names were so close.
Shelley Tucker, Lisa Spann,
Valerie Tomlin,
Valerie.
Yep.
Sadly, Valerie passed a few years ago.
Yep. That was. I remember Valerie was. I think she was just a little bit older than me, but I was the youngest person in class until Chris Wyndham skipped a grade, and then he was finally the one that was the youngest one in our class. He skipped a grade, and he was finally the youngest one.
I was in not a debate, but I was on Facebook. I posted something about drove up by our old schools, just going to the Capitol. I was leaving out real early, and it was dark, and I seen there was teachers here at the schools. David Jury, Smyrna Primary, Thurman Francis, Smyrna West. And I just took pictures of all the schools and the cars, and you always got somebody that's going to say something that don't even fit the topic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can say the sun's shining, and somebody else, no, there's clouds moving in. There's always that person. And so anyways, a couple people are like, what about school choice? They're kind of down. I'm like, I'm for freedom. I'm for school choice. I think it can help. I'm for homeschooling. And anyway, we got in a big long debate about back and forth. A lot of people comment and all, but I wanted to share this on the radio. I've shared this before, I think, years ago. I talk about God wink moments, synchronicity, God wink moments. And in the 4th grade, my wife says I shouldn't ever tell this story, but I'm going to tell it. I think it's a cool story. But I was the only kid.
Do you stay in trouble with her, by the way? Do you stay in trouble just all the time? I mean,
yes, she don't listen. Anyways, hey, 35 years. She was saying we were married 30. I said, no, maybe it's 35 years. You know, it's not 36 next month. But anyways, in the 4th grade, all you kids got to go to the Sam Davis field trip, and I was the one kid left behind. And probably the entire school, the only kid. Man, don't start crying on me now.
I was concerned.
Okay. And anyways, I remember it's one thing to be left in the classroom, but everybody sees you there because we had there wasn't no door there. It was like a wide open. You remember that?
Yes.
The bathroom was there, and everybody's lined up.
Yeah.
They're all looking at me. What are you doing here? I'm like, well, I don't have the $5. I didn't want to bother my mom.
Right.
I mean, I knew my mom struggled raising a bunch of us, and a teacher's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, I don't have the $5. All the students see me. But tell me how cool this is. That always stuck with me because you've probably got something in childhood that
right.
That stuck with you. We all kind of do. And but here's where God had a plan. Man, is this not so cool? All right. So I was arguing with the school board one night. I forgot what issue it was, and probably school choice. And this little teacher, Emily Mitchell, with TEA, Emily Mitchell, she emails me. She's a little fireball, a little firebrand, real sweet. And she taught David Jury. She said, hey, I bet your name's carved in the desk up here at David Jury School. And I thought, it probably is,
It could be.
Don Odom had paddled me a couple times for skipping school back in the day. Remember, he was the school superintendent, so that was some irony. And I thought it was real sweet. This little teacher reached out to me. So I went up there, and I started talking to the janitor. Okay, hey, man, where'd you go to school? He went to Holloway. It was during segregation. And he lived in Laverne. I said, man, how'd you get to school? He said, man, I thumb it. I said, well, people give you rides? He said, yeah, man, I played football. And he said, people give you rides back then. I thought, man, this is really kind of strange. Today, you'd be hard-pressed to get a ride thumbing it today. But back then, no cars on the road, people give you rides. And I said, well, man, where you go to church at? And I'm probably the only lawmaker that's going to ask where you go to church at, And he goes, well, I go to church in Laverne, but we're locked out right now. I said, you're locked out? He's like, yeah. I'm thinking this guy's got dementia. Something's going on. I said, man, he's locked out. He was talking about this Co's dispute with all that telecom in Laverne. TDS?
Yes, TDS.
Telecom.
Yeah, TDS.
And I don't have them, so I guess I can give him a bad plug. He said, well, we got in this easement, okay, this easement we sold, and Laverne wouldn't give them a CO to to get in their own church. I couldn't believe this happened in America, especially in Smyrna or Laverne, Tennessee. And I said, man, we'll get you back in church. So I started digging into this. Couldn't even get the NAACP to talk about it. Couldn't get the ACLU to talk about it. Finally, a little reporter with Fox 17, what's her name? If you go to YouTube, it's on there. Type in Word of Life, Laverne. And CB Cotton is one that helped me with Jefferson Pike. This other girl, man, I forgot her name. She finally done a story. And then Howard Wilson, a judge, issued an injunction, and they could worship. They were out $56,000. Couldn't worship in their own church. You know who helped build that church?
Who?
Giles Creek Church on Rocky Fork Road.
Yeah.
And they donated labor, love, and built it. And they couldn't worship in their own church. I couldn't believe this happened in our country. No one's talking about it. And I called out ACLU and NAACP on the House floor one day, looked up at ACLU and seen Heidi Weinberg up there. And I said, where were you for that church? Where were you? Where were y'all? They didn't know what to say. So she come by my office later. She goes, well, I didn't know about it. We didn't know about it. I was like, how do you not know about a black church locked out for 2 years?
Right.
But I tell you what, Volunteer Bank, Jason Surratt, I think, is going to be the new manager over there, right there across from Toots on San Parkway. And, man, that bank stuck by them for 2 years, Volunteer Bank. Well, I'm on the banking committee at the state. And, in fact, I've got to recognize them. But that always meant something to me, Volunteer Bank. So if you ever see Jason Surratt or the main guy, I forgot the main guy's name. I think he's up in Portland. But that always stuck with me. But here's what's cool about that story, being the only kid didn't get to go Sam Davis home.
I was trying to figure out how you
you
tie that together. I was in there.
It's
I was
that
trying to figure it out.
ADHD.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to figure it out.
But that's part of the God thing, because I wouldn't have known about this black church if it wasn't for that little teacher.
Right.
Okay. Not to say they wouldn't have got in there eventually, but we helped motivate. I can promise that. So the teacher takes me back to my same classroom in David Drury School, the exact same classroom I was in. What's the odds of that?
Wow.
The same classroom,
the same
man.
one you got stuck in there by yourself.
Yeah.
The same one you're
all day. While all
you.
you
We were all
upper class kids got to go to Sam Davis home and have a good time. Well, I'm stuck there all day long. Okay. And
well, if you remember, I lived right down the street from you. I think we were pretty close to the same
yeah,
class.
yeah. Did you walk to school?
Yeah,
yeah. We walked.
We always walked to school.
Rain
yes.
and all.
Yeah.
But anyways, guess where I was at the very next day? Remember, I was in the same classroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guess where I was at?
I have no idea.
On stage at the state capitol, talking with the war memorial, speaking on behalf of the 150th anniversary of Sam Davis home.
Wow.
The next day.
Wow.
What's the probability?
Did you
of that?
tell them that you
Hell,
were upset about
heck
Daddy?
yeah, I
Did
told
you
that whole
tell
story.
everybody? Did you tell everybody?
My wife's like, I wouldn't tell that story. I'm like, I'm telling the whole world, you know.
So if you talked to a counselor about this, if you talked
No,
about where the
well, I
root
get counselor. This is my counselor
This
brother
is
right
being
here.
talked right here.
But you know what? You know what happened? And here's what's weird about that. The governor come against me politically. Governor Haslam's people, big money, spent $150,000 against me.
Wow.
Because I called out the commissioner of education to resign, but so did half the school superintendents. Like
Right.
60 of them said no confidence.
Right.
I mean, if you had some of your employees vote no confidence, and some of you probably, hey, dude, you're going to have to go.
If I had employee or team members that work for me now and own my business that felt that way, I'd think about selling my business, right? I mean, so I'm not doing something right if that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I knew who it was. People were like, man, how do you know who's spending this money? I said, man, I can feel it. Oh, you call it the Holy Spirit, call it whatever, instinct. And I knew who it was. And give God the glory for it. I still won. But guess who endorsed me that year?
Who?
The teachers.
Oh, the teachers, yeah.
That was so cool. When I told them that story, I met with them, and they started crying. Well, not all of them, but they're like, that can't happen today. That can't happen. That's not allowed to happen. I said, well, it happened to me.
Yep.
You know, but I know you have a heart for kids, and that's why I wanted to lead in about Smyrna West Alternative School.
Yeah, Mike Woods got me back in Rotary a long time ago, and just being my little Rotary story with it, without going real long with it, is that Mike Woods kept asking me to go to Rotary with him, and I kept saying no. I'll send my sales guys over there, and just didn't really know what Rotary was about. And finally, he just came and got me one day and took me. And all of a sudden, I see all these wonderful people that are doing things without being expected to get anything back, and nobody getting paid, and all we're doing is helping the community. Well, I fell in love with it. Next week, everybody has their own Rotary moment. The next week, we were going to have kids from Smyrna West that are in bad situations, don't really have a lot of parents. So the Rotary Club kind of is their PTO.
Yep, it is.
So it was a job shadow program. And they said, well, how many kids do you want? And I thought, well, I don't know. What do you mean? How they stay with you for 3 or 4 hours in your business? And man, we brought those kids in, and we took 2 kids in. I got them to, and hearing their stories. I mean, the first year I had a child that was 14, 15 years old, in there for getting into a fight.
Yeah.
And I said, well, why did you get into a fight? And well, this, and this. And then he goes into his whole story, and he goes and sells drugs on the side of the street to be able to give money to his mom so she can buy diabetes medicine. Wow. And it was his older brother that taught him how to do it. I mean, it's just, my belief is those kids are the ones that we change the world through. The kids that are the least fortunate, that don't know that they can be more than that they can be a part of society. They can own their own business. They can do more. I mean, we both grew up without a whole lot, Mike. Yeah. I mean, and you found a way through helping people and in your way, and I have through my business, and I think those children of least fortune just need people to be able to look up to.
Yeah. By the way, Tim Edwards lived right now.
Yes, he did.
Just says hello. He just sent me a message here.
Yeah, I ran into him at one of our construction sites the other day.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's we still live in town and all, and see a lot of folks, and I guess you start kind of longing for the old days when you see all these apartments and traffic everywhere, and you're like, Jesus, man.
Yes. Well, I mean, so why is that, Mike? Why are we allowing so many apartments in? Isn't there a commission that says, hey, we're only allow this much in? I mean, so what's the real?
I mean, it's your planning committee, and your city council approves any rezoning request, so that's a planning issue. That's not a state issue.
Right.
I mean,
so it's just a local zoning issue.
Yeah, that they approve. I was on the planning committee for almost 10 years with Bob Spivey. I opposed a lot of them apartment complex.
Right.
The one beside St. Rose or St. Luke's Church is the one I fought against. Drive up in there; it's the worst development you've ever seen in Middle Tennessee.
Well,
And that's not current administration's fault, though. With all full disclosure, that's previous administration allowed that. You know how many parking spaces you can park in that space?
No idea.
One. Seriously, drive up in there.
Wow.
If folks don't believe me, drive up in there and see it. It's to the right of St. Luke's. And I watched, I don't want to call it corruption, but that property wasn't zoned for that.
Right.
And they marketed for that. But it wasn't zoned for that. But say they denied that church. Because I grew up at St. Luke's. I mean, my mother, that's where her funeral was at. And, when it was a barn at one time at the back.
Yep.
But they marketed that property as apartments, and it wasn't zoned for that. I probably shouldn't talk about it on the radio, but
I mean, I think
they denied that church that right to expand their parking area.
Well, I mean, sometimes I think there just needs to be a real conversation about it, right? And then, we've become such a woke world, we're afraid to have a real conversation anymore. Why can't we just have a conversation without hurting somebody's feelings? Why can't we just have a real conversation?
It's called butt hurt.
Is that what it is?
Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
You ever heard that term?
I have.
You ever use it?
I haven't used that one in a while, but
we used to use it all the time. That's what it's called.
It's
called butt hurt.
Yes.
I see it's pride and egos and narcissism, man.
Yeah, and I think the world would be a better place if we just have a real conversation. We don't all have to disagree. I mean, what makes a great place is when we can debate and learn from each other.
Well, I appreciate you having heart because, you remember you called me about 2 years ago. You were really upset about something. You know what you called me about?
Which time?
I knew you were going to say which time.
Yeah, so I think that's
no, you remember?
I'm on the board with CASA, and I think I'm on the board with CASA, and we were in, when to hear that there was children that were sleeping on the floor when they get put into our system in Rutherford County, for any amount of days, when they get put into the system like that, it's just a sad day. I mean, in our world, when we're raising money for all kinds of different things, and we got children that are sleeping on the floor, and I mean, my personal belief is we change our world through those least fortunate children.
Yeah. Well, I always appreciate you because very seldom do I get a call. Usually when people call me, it's something that's for them.
Right.
Right. Hey, vote for this. Oh, support this, or we need this. But you called on behalf of somebody else.
Right. I mean, I just that sometimes those people just need somebody to speak up for them, right?
But you called here. This goes back to biblical scripture. You called for the least of these.
Right.
It's like Marty. Marty bought a car from me last May, and he was going to get it for this girl. Well, that was poor, and I pulled up. Man, I had the car slick. I mean, it had a set of 18s, that Buick LaCrosse, been leathered up, beautiful car. It's my wife's, and I'd already bought her something else. I said, yeah, I'll see this Buick, and I pulled it up, and it's a Egyptian family, and the mom and dad couldn't speak English, and there's 5 kids. And little 16-year-old girl. She reminded me of Cher. Remember Sonny and Cher? She looked like Cher. Yeah. Real skinny little girl, 16. Beautiful dark hair. And Marty tells her, he says, well, there's your birthday present. Just real casual. And Marty. Marty's kind of a bull in China shop. And, well, there's your birthday present. She goes, what? And he goes, there's your birthday present. And she goes, what do you mean? And he goes, that car right there. I'm giving it to you. And she goes, what? And she's broke down, started crying. And she says, I thought I was here to get a puppy. And she was crying. I told Marty after they left, I said, dude, that was your best day. Yeah. He goes, no, I've had better days.
Yeah. Yes, I've done better than that, Mike. Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm telling you, from a spiritual perspective, it even shocked me.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to go, help somebody that has some influence, but you go help somebody that can't do anything for you.
Oh yeah, no, you say that, it may be one of the most amazing random acts of kindness I've ever done. That I think was a simple thing that was life changes. I'm kind of, as I've gotten a little bit older, I like washing my clothes, so I go down to the laundromat and take it down, and they wash them.
Which
and fold
one do you
them.
go to?
Over there, where's Planet Fitness?
They're real sweet.
Laundromat. Yeah,
I always tell them the North Koreans.
Yeah,
no, we're Korean, South Korean.
So I drop my clothes off.
Sweet.
They fold them on, do all that. But there was a lady that was working there, and she was outside smoking a cigarette during Christmas, and she walked outside and she walked over there, and I just had I had one of those moments, and it felt like God spoke to me and said, whatever you have in your pocket, just go give it to her.
Yeah.
I reached down in the pocket, all I had was a $100 bill. And she's standing outside I walk over there and go, and I just folded it up. I blocked the driveway where nobody could get in. I just run over there and I handed it to her. And as I leave and I look in the mirror, she is crying. I've absolutely changed this woman's life with a $100 bill, and that's the.
But you're not really a religious guy, though.
I mean, I read Bible every day. Yeah,
You do?
I do.
See,
Yes, I do read Bible every day.
I'm sorry,
yes,
man.
Yeah, I read Bible every day. Yes, my dad was a preacher. Yeah,
I didn't know
yes,
that.
my dad was a preacher. Yes,
I just
yes.
never pictured you as a religious guy.
So, well, you'd say,
I mean it. In
so,
a nice way.
so are you profiling me here?
No, I
Mike?
ain't
Is that what's going
profiling.
on?
I have done some profiling now. It's like I was at an event down in Memphis. It was 100 black men and me and 2 white guys. And I'm down there because I know some of the black lawmakers. They invited me down. And I thought, I wonder how this is going to be.
Right,
I'm in
different.
Memphis.
Yes.
And, it's 100 black guys and 3 white dudes.
Right, yeah.
And Joe Towns had invited me. And I seen this black lawmaker, Jesse Chisholm. And Jesse's a great guy.
Right.
I mean, but I didn't know him. And I said, well, man, I heard he had just got elected. So what committee is you going to get on? He says, well, I want to get on ag and commerce. And I thought, agriculture.
Right.
I thought, I said, man, what do you know about ag? He said, I've killed a few hogs. I've raised a few greens like that. And we just passed a bill together last week.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, the media didn't tell you. It's about juvenile justice. It's
right.
That if a young kid gets arrested, they'll at least have to video the interrogation.
Fantastic.
It had never been done before. And I don't know why anybody would push back against that. But we had a lot of folks that stood with us. The Republican Party, because I had a similar bill. Mine was a little tougher on it because it was required to have an attorney present or a parent or a guardian or something present. The DA's pushed back on it, but. That's a bipartisan issue,
Right. No,
but the media,
absolutely.
they don't really like to cover that kind of stuff.
And I don't know why we just can't talk more about bipartisan issues that are actually things that are happening. Why we can't hear? Because
it doesn't sell.
It doesn't sell. It doesn't make money.
I know.
It doesn't make money.
Well, the media, they really are a problem, but they really are. I mean, there's good news. We need good journalists that are going to be honest, and I've met several of them that have been good. I mean, they covered we've got this. Street racing legislation, illegal street racing legislation, and we had the widow of the Army medic. He was killed by a guy racing on the Clarksville Highway. He was only 34, and he had 3 kids. He's on his way to pick up his kids, but the widow came up and testified, and you'd got choked up. I mean, I'm presenting legislation. What the legislation does is creates a task force, illegal racing task force statewide with Chattanooga, Memphis, Nashville, Clarksville, and they included Murfreesboro for us because we've had problems, I-24, Antioch, and all. And the mayors would assign the person to the committee, then the governor has an appointment, and the speaker as well as Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. Right. But I mean, I'll be honest with you. I got choked up. She's talking about losing him and 3 kids, man. And but it's a powerful testimony, you know. But that's a bipartisan issue. Jason Powell and I are working on that. He represents Marty Lupp and Cane Ridge area,
right?
Some of Antioch.
I mean, it's just. I mean, why we don't hear about that because you're right. It's not selling. I mean, that thing. My personal belief is that COVID did that. COVID got everything so sensationalized, and everybody's watching TV for 3 to 4 weeks. And we're going to live, we're not going to live, and they got all these ratings, they got all the money, and then what they have to do after that? They got to start making it more sensationalized.
Well, there are some good journalists. Sometimes I'm kind of down on it, but I've been going back to school learning journalism, and that's how I've got to know Dr. Eschenfelder when he's seen fake news. I mean, literally, it's fake news, propaganda.
Right.
Propaganda is real.
Right.
I mean, people don't believe it's real. Just let me know. I mean, I'll show up and debate anybody on because there is propaganda. But my professor seen what was going on with me. He said, "Man, what the media is doing to you is unethical." I said, "You think?" I said, "Now you know why I'm over here." The irony is his wife teaches ethics in journalism, and she's seen it. She knew what was going on. But that's part of the game. I mean, it's sad, but if it wasn't for the fake news, I've got my Tennessee Ledger and Issues of Faith, and I wrote an article about DCS. It's called it's Detective Mobbs, Mobbs, with the Sheriff's Department. He had called me, and I hope he don't mind me sharing this on the radio, but as a detective, he was upset with DCS, just like you upset with DCS, and he told me, he said, "Look, I'm probably not really supposed to call you, man." He says, "But we really, I've got concerns with DCS, and you probably remember a little girl that her dad killed her mom, and he was escaping from South Carolina, and he wound up on the wrong. He ended up thinking he's going to St. Louis. He's going towards Manchester and wrecked his car. And then they wound up over at the hotel. And
gosh.
Anyways,
Yep.
but it's a neat story. He just called me. I just happened to be there, and it's probably one of the best stories I've ever written. If you go to Issues of Faith and type in Riley, the name Riley, you'll see the little girl. But I watched the female officers as well as the male officers take the little girl in and help her, and then the foster family had her, because we got a DCS location over here, and interviewed. He grew up in Smyrna. His dad's over there at Woodfin Funeral Home,
Right.
and they went to church with. And I was like, how'd y'all wind up at church? I was curious how this family.
Right.
Remember, their mom's there, the sister's there. I'm like, well, I'm just curious. How did you find a church in Rutherford County? And she said, oh, the detective invited us to Highland Heights Church of Christ. I was like, the detective invited you to church?
That's a blessing, boy.
And what detective
pretty
does
strong.
that?
That's pretty strong.
But see, Channel 5's not going to cover that.
Right.
But I covered it.
Right.
It's really probably the best story that I've ever. But it was like being at the right place at the right time, and it took a young detective that had what I call courage and conviction to care about that little girl. And you think of the trauma that little girl's faced.
Well, we could all use more inspirational stories to be able to be inspired by and to live a better life, right?
We need it.
Yeah, and it's just it's not selling, like you said. It's not what the news, it's just not doing.
I had well, I probably can't share that story, but it was. I'll tell you off there. Phil Williams had called me, Channel 5, about something. I was like, Phil, I said, if you cover this, you're probably going to hurt this person. This young man I was trying to help get a job. And I told him, I said, dude, I'll tell you what I'll do. The FBI interviewed me about four years ago. I said, I'll come out this is the first time I ever talked about this on the air. I said, I'll do a whole interview with you about the FBI and what they were trying to make me do if you will back off this.
Oh, wow.
This is the first time I've ever shared this.
Wow.
Now, if the FBI wants to come after me, if Phil Williams wants to give me a hard time, hey, so be it.
Right.
I don't think they will because I'm right.
Right.
And
right.
But I've seen things that I remember telling the FBI, I said, why don't you go after all these other issues? Why don't you go after all the payday loans, checking the cash, title max, all that? Why don't you look into that? Why don't you look into the JLL real estate contract where they were shaking down one of my constituents here in Rutherford County, the late Tom Hyde, for a 6% real estate commission? Where does all that show up at? They don't cover it. That's what I told the FBI.
Yeah, just not out there.
And the FBI, they're like, they weren't interested. Man, this is corrupt right here in your face. And you're going after somebody who lost their election years ago. What's up with this?
Yeah. It's a strange world sometimes. You have to ask yourself, are we in God's world at that point, right? What am I doing wrong to be in this spot where I'm at? Because
when you and I, we've seen the country. We knew what it was like when we were 6 and 8 and 12 and 15 and 20, and it's like that frogs in a pot. It's not just a theory. It's real.
Yeah.
And you put a frog in a pot of water, turned up, so the frog will just stay there. So the frog's used to the changes. You and I have seen how the country really was, which was a lot more principled than it is today. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance Policy Perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
Hey, Middle Tennessee, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. What's less secure than a fake safe from a big box or furniture store? Joe Biden's fake border policy, of course. But hey, there is good news. This time next year, Joe Biden will not be president. So drop by the Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. Build a wall around your valuables with a safe from the Safe House. We have certified delivery crews to deliver and install your safe. Don't let a crackhead or illegal deliver your safe. With over 30 years in the safe business, the Safe House is the place to buy a safe in Tennessee. So go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Got Vincent Dixie in the station. Say hello, Vincent. He's going to be Angela's guest. Say hello, man. Don't be scared.
Hey, how y'all doing? This is Representative Vincent Dixie. I represent District 54 in Davidson County. I just stopped by. They told me they needed some ratings to help Mike Sparks out, so I thought I'd come on today.
Hey, Vincent, great guy. You got a good heart for people, man. You really do.
It's working. That ratings meter's already moving up. Yeah, we're already rolling. Yeah, it's already rolling.
Well, he was talking about bipartisan things. You know, he was upset with DCS. I know you've been upset with DCS. A lot of been upset with DCS. But it's really a reflection on the culture. I mean, we've done all we can. We spent a lot of money. Well, I don't think we've done all we can. We spent a lot of money with DCS and trying to get them raises, and they've had a lot of turnover, you know. You got any big things on your mind right now?
Oh, man, just trying to get out of this session. And so we can move on, and hopefully we can take care of some business and make a few lives better here in Tennessee, and do what we said we was going to do, you know, because it's getting pretty adversarial there, you know, and it's just the temperature's rising, and I think it's time for all of us to like take a time out and go back to our corners.
Yeah.
Amen.
Just chill.
Just
you know.
Yeah.
It does get pretty stressful. Mm-hmm. It does get stressful. So Angela's got you coming up?
Yeah.
Get her to share the story about her. I was speaking over here at the courthouse. It was a African American history event. They were going to do a monument, you know, and I had my stuff in my head when I was going to talk about Amazing Grace, and all of a sudden she spoke before me, and she starts bellowing out Amazing Grace, and I didn't know that girl could sing. She can sing, you know. It was a good thing, you know.
Mike, can you sing?
You know? No, I can't sing.
We got ratings start going down there.
No. You know,
Don't do that to you.
No. But you know, Amazing Grace is our official state hymn, and Vincent voted for that, and I appreciate you sticking with us. Ackberry, I carried on the House side, and Ackberry carried on the Senate side.
He did do one good bill.
Yeah, one good bill. Yeah. Anyways, most people get along pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, I sit in front of Justin Jones, and really, you know, Justin and I really get along okay. I spoke up for him on that ag bill. You know, the ag bill. I think it's a good bill. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's I mean, you can't. You know that John Deere and these big tractors. You can't repair. A farmer can't repair their own tractors.
Oh no, you have to sit it back. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean,
Man, is that not a monopoly?
But it is a monopoly. Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. Yes,
so you know, they say a stuck clock's right twice a day or something. Is that right?
Yeah, all of them are like that.
You know,
all of them they do that too. So they have their proprietary information.
Well, I talked to Frank nicely, and Frank says it's a good bill, and Frank's country is cornbread, and talked to Farm Bureau. There was one of their issues in 2017. I noticed that one of their issues now, so I don't know what's going on with that, you know.
Well, maybe y'all can fix it next year.
We're gonna try to fix it, you know. But I was like, what's Justin carrying this bill for? It's just, but they stuck him on the ag committee. It is funny if you think about it, you know. It is kind of, politics makes them strange bedfellows, brother.
I'm not in politics for that reason. I do believe. I mean, that's yes.
It is strange.
What's the saying? No permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent.
Oh, you got to work with folks.
Yeah.
You got to work. You got to work with folks. You know, you really do. You know, but going back on the alternative schools, you know, it's like a lot of kids have been in trouble to get sent there. And what was you just sharing a story about the young man that was with you?
Yeah, I mean, my very first two young men that I had, one of them is, I mean, he's selling drugs on the side of the street to be able to give money to his mama so she can buy diabetes for his little brother. And it was his older brother that taught him how to deal drugs. And nobody knew about this in Smyrna West or in the school, right? He confesses to me he's in there for fighting, but nobody knows that that's even a problem in his life to even try to help him with it, right? So
we got to dig down.
Yes,
deep,
I mean, it's just.
Well, we were blessed growing. I think we got a caller. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, it's Rob Mitchell.
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Doing good. Sorry to call in so late. I'm just leaving the hospital over here, and I was listening to you on my cell phone.
Well, thanks for your effort, Vincent. This is the gentleman that run the chess legislation. Jump in here. Yeah, Vincent Dixie's going to be on with Angela Bingham. So, hey, Angela, don't be sticking your tongue out at me. Look at her. She's sticking her tongue out at me. She's being mean. Anyways.
She still needs to play a game of chess with me.
Yeah. Well, we need to get you up there one day. But thank you for your legislation. I was speaking to a Moms Over Murder event of the day last week.
Yeah.
And they
Clemmy
brought
Greenlee.
They brought, you know Clemmy, don't you?
Mm-hmm, Clemmy Greenlee.
They brought that up. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I love Clemmy. So when I first got elected, she invited me to her house, and I was like, I don't know about it, because I known her reputation precedes her. She's a tough lady. She's only about 5 feet tall.
She is a 100
pounds.
Brand.
So I was a little nervous about going over there, but when we came up, she just welcomed me with her open arms, and she showed me what she was doing. And I was like, this is great. You know, what she does, she opened a studio in her home and she leaves it open all times of the night. So she said she would rather have the kids in there making music and beats rather than out there selling drugs or robbing, killing, stealing. And I was like, man, that's a blessing.
But, you know, Danny, you need to go. I went and sat through the United Methodist Church over on Siegel. God bless them, opened it up. But I went over and sat with them, and man, I had to hold back tears. All of them had sons that had been killed,
right?
Mm-hmm. Drugs or overdose or gang violence or something. And I told my wife, I said, man, you need to go. Rob, you need to go over with us one day. That Moms Over Murder event. And how's the chess initiative? I know we put in for a budget request. You know, the budget's going to be tight. You know, I'm not sure if we can get it, but we're going to try.
Well, I mean, that's all we can do is try. Anything is better than nothing. If they say we can't get the full amount, we'll take whatever they're willing to give us. But you know, we've got the chess championship for Rutherford County high schools on April the 20th at Patterson Park. I'm supposed to meet with them tomorrow to get that all finalized over there and tour the facility and tell them what we need. So.
Well, one of Angela's guests when I was leaving last week, she brought up your effort. She mentioned you, said she really appreciated it. Make sure you get a press release out to Bracken Mayo with the Pulse and Dan Eppright with the Mercer Post, and then Scott Bro and DNJ, as well as Brian Barrett, Scott Walker up here at WGNS on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, I appreciate all your efforts and everybody else and the legislative delegation that's gotten behind this. I mean, you can throw money at a problem and just end up spending a whole lot of money, or you can try to address the cause of the problem.
Yeah.
And it's generally a lot cheaper because an ounce of prevention is worth what?
Well,
money?
it was a bipartisan issue, and Vincent was there with us, and Chisholm and others, and we need more of that.
Yeah,
Jesse, give your last word. Go ahead.
I would say that was a great example of a bipartisan coming together and making something happen. That is something that's going to help people.
We need more of it. Thank you so much, Danny.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jack. We'll see y'all next week.